Hi, a wondrous day ahead. I am Erin Gulchano, and for today, we are going to dive in or somehow discuss the whole chronicle of the chapter 12 entitled The Risk Management. But first and foremost, allow me to introduce you guys the enthusiasts of this group. Starting off again with myself, of course, I am Arian Gulchano. We have Hafsa Zachariah and also the John Vincent Garmes. Without further ado, let's proceed to the chapter outline that we will be traversing the whole realm of this discussion. We will be going to for sure discuss the business risk and its different types, insure against risks, and other risks. So, with the business risks, we have to deal with business risks or dealing with business risks. But first and foremost, let me ask you a question. What can you say or how do you define when you hear the word risk in the landscape of business? Isn't it something that you can abstract or something that you can control or beyond your control? But for me, in all general provisions, risk is the possibility of some kind of losses. According to the material, risk can be categorized as human risk, natural risk, and economic risk. With all due respect, risk is something that we cannot abstract. And in order for us to have growth, in order for us or for our business to have flourished in the succeeding years, succeeding months, succeeding expedition, you have to face the risk. You have to conquer, you have to traverse it in order for you to have growth, to have development, advancement, and so on. In risk, we have the concept of risk management. Risk management is taking action to prevent or reduce the possibility of loss to your business. Of course, risk is inherent, it is inevitable. Whatever things or strategies you have to endure with, it has always been a never ending cycle. That's why risk is a never ending cycle or never ending narrative as well. But we have the risk management in order for us to control, to somehow endure it or to somehow reduce the possibility of its, coming to the expedition. Hindi naman perfecto ang business. Yes, it has flaws, it has lapses, it has drawbacks. But at some point, you can reduce it. You can somehow control it. Not in a way that you can control not entering risk, but you can somehow control the possibility of having such loss or having such massive loss in your business because it's not good to your business. And in order for you to have that, you have to have such strategic operations, strategic techniques that you can use, that you can traverse, you can have to research with your business. That's why business plan is very important. You can avoid risk, assume risk, or transfer risk. Going on, we have to identify the type of risks or the different type of risk. We have the human risk, the natural risk, and Economic risk, sorry. With human risk, these are those caused by the actions of individuals such as employees or customers. From the word itself, the human risk. These are mainly from our customers, from our employees itself. That's why the human resource management training are very important when we establish our business. We have to, have the proper training for them, the proper requirement for them to have, to enter to this realm. Because business is something like a Hunger Games in such a long run, you know. Examples include shoplifting, employee theft, robbery, credit card fraud, and bounce checks. Um, you know, Sometimes kasi it's not just the customers who cause troublesome. Mainly our employees, our staff as well. Minsan yung mga nandun sa internal operations, sila pa yung nakakagawa ng mga troublesome. ng mga heavy troublesome that could, really impact to your business and could influence negativity to the public eye or to the facade that you're trying to like implement, and it's not good to the business reputation. Next is the natural risk. Natural risks are caused by acts of nature. From the word itself, natural risk, acts of nature. Examples are storms, fires, floods, and earthquakes, and so on. Ito yung mga bagay na hindi mo talaga kontrolado because it's given by the nature. Something na you cannot tell that it's coming. Maybe you could, but it's not like you can control it with it. That's why it's always vital. It's always pivotal for you as an owner or as a manager or something like, you know owning a business line. It's very important for you to be knowledgeable and somehow conducted a research beforehand kung ano yung mga possibility na pwedeng papasok na risk or natural risk sa business mo. The occurrence of any of these could bring about tremendous loss to a business, of course. Gaya na lang ng expenses or expenditures na matatahak nito. Examples, nagkaroon ng earthquake and yung business mo is like you parang install ka ng parang glasses or somehow furnitures, and then it happened na merong earthquake na sobrang lakas, and then like it broke every single glasses or every single you know raw materials that you have, and then it costs too much kasi mahal ang mga ganong klaseng gamit, and then like hindi siya nabenta. And it's very important na parang you have to consider it in the long run, and especially if you're dealing with such fragile instruments or weapons. Next is yung economic risks. Economic risks occur because of changes in business conditions. Primarily, ang pinakamabibigay kong example sa economic risks is the 2020 and the COVID-19. Yung nangyari yung COVID-19, maraming mga business lines ang nagsara. Marami ring talagang nagkaroon ng break-even point dun sa kanilang sales, sa kanilang profits. Yung income statement nila hindi na kumikita. Minsan, mas malaki pa yung binabayaran nilang taxes kasi dun sa net taxable income nila. Kasi nga, hindi sila kumikita because of the condition. Tulad na lang nung mga kainan, mga ibang coffee shop, and so on. Pero, meron din namang mga magagandang bagay or like advantages na mga nangyayari during this term. That's why it's very, very important na parang you're knowledgeable enough. It really depends on the owner. Kasi it takes certain balance. Hindi naman puro negative lang, but it also has positivity on the other side. That's why alam mo dapat kung paano mag-control ng business. Kasi every single thing has the opposite thing. It's very antithetical to each other. Now let's move on to the preparing to face risks. As an entrepreneur, you must be prepared to face all kinds of risk. Next, you will need to decide the best strategy for dealing with risks. That's why I've said earlier, it's very important to conduct a research, to conduct an internal and external factor matrix, to conduct a mission and vision and goals to your business, and also to identify your weaknesses, threats, strengths, and opportunities, or simply the SWOT analysis. Kasi it's very important na alam mo yung mga sanga-sanga na kung ano dapat yung kailangan mong pag-aralan. Kasi it really interconnects to each other. It really correlates to the, system, to the strategic system or process or yung progress mismo ng business. In line with that, you may decide to avoid the risk. To prepare for risk, you should do the following. First, determine what can go wrong. Of course, parang ihanda mo yung sarili mo sa risk. Tatanungin mo yung sarili mo, ano ba yung possibility, bakit may something na mali? Ikaw yung makakasagot as a business owner. You're the one who can determine what can go wrong. And then afterwards, kapag nalaman mo kung saan ka nagkamali o kung saan ka nagkaroon ng drawback within the system or within the operation, you have to develop a plan. Develop a plan in pursuant to that, to that wrongful action that you did, or to the wrongful, wrongful scene that you had traversed, and then develop a plan. Simply, siguro, it's very important na mag-take ka ng business plan talaga kapag mag-establish ka ng business, kasi yung foundation ng business plan na ibibigay is very important. It causes too much advantage and benefits para maalam mo kung ano yung possibility and also yung mga kailangan mong ihanda kapag sakaling nagkaroon ng drawbacks ang business mo. And then, communicate your plan. Communicate your plan. Saan mo ito i-communicate? Of course, to your employees, to your managers, to your supervisor, to your staff, generally. So, sino ba ang kasagwa mo kapag you have dealing with such humongous problems? Of course, your manager, the one who's leading all of these, Kasi, sila yung magiging application, sila yung magiging, kumbaga, if you're building a house, sila yung magiging kagamitan para matayo kung ano yung dapat mong itayo. So, in determine what can go wrong, as a business owner, the first thing you need to do is conduct a risk assessment. Ano nga ba yung risk assessment? A risk assessment involves looking at all aspects of your business and determining the risks you face. So, during this assessment, you should be able to learn the risks your business face. Decide how the risk would affect your business, and prioritize the risk by the impact they will have on your business. And as what I've said earlier, ito na yun siya. Parang i-encapsulate ko lang kanina on my own words. Next is develop a plan. Once you have identified the risk that could affect your business, you should develop a written plan for dealing with them. Yung written plan na sinasabi dito is yung sinabi ko kanina na it's better to conduct a business plan beforehand. Kasi it's really a roadmap. It will serve as a backbone to your business. When developing a risk management plan, you may have to comply with certain laws. For example, yung OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So it requires businesses to have an evacuation plan for emergencies. Next is, be sure to have a recovery plan in place if you suffer a setback. Yung recovery plan, it will enable you to get back to business as quickly as humanly as possible. Next is, communicate your plan. As what I said earlier, let your managers and employees know about your plan for handling risks. To ensure your plan is carried out properly, assign activities and responsibilities to the appropriate people. Dapat meron kang organizational chart. Ito yung parang kung ano yung sanga-sanga, kung sino yung mag-handle sa ganito, kung sino yung mag-handle sa operating expenses, sa operating strategies, sa internal ganito, sa external, sa finance, sa budget, sa application. That's why it's very important talaga na magkaroon ng business plan, kasi within the business plan, nandun na yung organizational chart. Next, let's proceed naman sa types of theft. So we have 5 according to the material. First is the shoplifting, employee theft, robbery, credit card fraud, bounce checks. Ano ba yung theft, 'di ba? Yan yung parang illegal stealing. So parang yun. First one, we have the shoplifting. Shoplifting is the act of knowingly taking items from a business without paying. It's very simple. Customers shoplift $1 million in merchandise every single year. If you own a retail business, you will have to take steps to prevent or reduce shoplifting. Some of the things you can do include the following. First is, instruct your employees to watch for customers who appear suspicious. Of course, ang pinakamagandang gawin talaga dito is to have sets or series of CCTV cameras, kasi hindi talaga maiwasan ang mga, shoplifters. Lalo na kapag yung business mo is department store, or like, take for example yung mga 7-Eleven, Of course, they are operating the business 24/7. And then, like, syempre, mas maraming tao sa gabi. And then, mainly, yung mga shoplifters, kasi yan sila minsan, they were drunk, and then like they proceed to enter the 7-Eleven and then like try to buy, but then sometimes because they're too high and they're like kind of drunk, nag-shoplift sila. So, maraming mga tendency na pwedeng mangyari. That's why it's very important na hindi lang security ang meron ka, hindi lang din yung awareness ng employee na meron ka, but then at the same time, meron kayong series of CCTV cameras. Kasi yan yung magdedetermine kung sino yung mga tao na lumalabas at pumapasok sa loob ng business mo, especially when you are owning a department store or some stores na nasa public place. Hire security guards, as what I've said, or off-duty police officers to patrol your store. Both signs indicating that you prosecute shoplifters. Ask incoming customers to leave their bags behind the customer. Ito na yung mga baggage, yung mga claim. So kailangan talaga, it's very vital, no. Minsan naiinis tayo kasi bakit natin kailangan pang iwan yung gamit natin. And minsan, iniisip natin na may mga importanteng gamit doon. That's why it's very important to have a small pocket of bag and then like put your important belongings within that. Kasi hindi tayo pwede mag-bring ng parang something like very massive bag kasi doon pwede magkasya yung mga gamit na pwede natin i-shoplift inside the store. And it's really, it's highly discouraged. This is to prevent any malpractice inside the store. So, install electronic devices such as the mounted video cameras, electronic merchandise tags, and point-of-exit sensors to detect shoplifters. Of course, kahit naman siguro sa kahit na anong malalaking mga department store or even yung mga malls itself, meron talaga yan sila. That's why I've said earlier na very important magkaroon ng mga series of CCTV cameras. So, proceed to the employee theft. Of course, hindi lang customers ang nagnanakaw or nagkakaroon ng mga illegal stealing sa loob ng store. Of course, yung ating mga employees, kasali yan sila sa mga shoplifters. Kasali yan sila sa mga illegal stealers sa nangyayari sa loob ng business natin. Minsan, akala na natin yung mga employees natin, sila yung magtatanggol sa atin when it comes to like troublesome, but then like most of the time sila din na nagcreate ng troublesome inside the business, and it's very it's very underwhelming. That's why we should traverse first training or something like kailangan nakasala yung mga tao na pumapasok sa business natin. That's why it's very very important na magkaroon ng requirements, yung educational background, kasi hindi pwedeng gusto lang nila magtrabaho. Dapat meron din silang napatunayan or meron din silang license to work within your business. So most employees are hardworking and honest, but there are a few who will take things from your business, such as office supplies, equipment, merchandise, and even money. Of course, money talaga. These employees can negatively impact your business financially. So, ano nga ba yung mga dapat nilang kailangan gawin? So, some businesses such as restaurants and retail stores are more vulnerable to employee theft than others. If you own such a business, you may need to adopt the following procedures. Number 1, prevent dishonest employees from joining your company. Install surveillance systems. Establish a tough company policy regarding employee theft. Be on the lookout. Next, let's proceed to robbery. Almost all businesses in the landscape of business industry are vulnerable to robberies. You can choose what is considered a safe area of town to locate your businesses to guard against being robbed. You can also install deadbolt locks and burglar alarms. Kasi robberies are very irrelevant sa kahit na anong form ng business. Next is yung credit card fraud. Business owners lose millions of dollars every year because of stolen credit cards. So if a purchase is made on a stolen credit card, a business may not be able to collect the money. To prevent stolen credit cards from being used to purchase goods, you can install an electronic credit authorizer. Alam nyo, minsan, sa lawak ng ating technology nowadays, hindi tayo ganun ka-assure, or di tayo ganun ka-sure, or there's no assurance at all na merong abundance of safety pagdating sa ating mga technology or yung mga machines na ginagamit natin when it comes to like our cards. Sometimes yung mga cards na yan, yun yung parang mga fraudulent things na ginagamit nila or fraud weapons na ginagamit nila to snatch some, cash, some amounts of money inside the business. Next is bounce check. A bounce check is a check that is returned to you by the bank because the customer's checking account has insufficient funds to cover the check amount. And furthermore, bounce checks are also called bad checks. We should be taking note of that. Bounce checks are also called bad checks. So now let's proceed to the next reporter.
So the next topic is the 12.2, insure against risk. So classifications of risk. A payment made to an insurance company to cover the cost of insurance is a premium. So there's the types of risk. So the first risk is presents the chance of loss but no opportunity for gain. So if you have a car or a vehicle that is used in your business, every time it goes out on the road, there is a risk of an accident. So the second one is the speculative risk. So it offers you to the chance to gain as well as lose from the event or an activity. Investing in the stock market is a good example of speculative risk. So the next one is the controllable risk. It is one that can be reduced or possibly avoided by actions you take. Installing a security system in your business could lessen the risk of your business being robbed. So the second is the uncontrollable risk, is one on which actions have no effect. So the weather cannot be controlled, but it can have a tremendous effect on some businesses. The last is the insurable risk. So if it is a pure risk faced by a large number of people and the amount of the loss can be predicted, buildings that house and businesses are susceptible to fire. So under the uninsurable risks are the economic conditions. So managers must constantly study economic conditions. Changes in economic conditions can result from an increase or decrease in competitions, shifts in populations, inflation or recession, and government regulations. So this also has the consumer demand, which are the businesses produces products and services that they think the consumers want to buy. So before going to business owners must research consumers' needs and wants. Second is the third one is the competitors' actions. So business is a competitive. So as a business owner, you must be aware of your competitors and their actions. A major advertising campaign or drop in price by your competitors may result in changes in your volume of sales. So the next is the technology changes. So changes in technology bring out changes in business. As a business owner, you need to stay up to date on technology trends, evaluate new technology, and see if it can help your businesses. So local factors. Business can suffer due to the activities that occur in their local community. If there is an increase in local taxes or changes in local business regulation, it can affect your business. So next is the business operations. So the management of a business contributes directly to the success or failure of the business. So a business that is poorly managed can have high employee turnover, poor customer service, high expenses, and other problems. So there are types of insurance. The first one is the business insurance. So insurance companies selling business insurance offer policies that combine protection against all major property and liability risks in one package. So business owner policies typically include the following. So there are three: the property insurance, the business interruption insurance, and the liability protection. So So the next one is the life insurance. So life insurance is paid in the event of the death of the insured. So it is intended to provide financial support for families should the income earner die. So a business owner may buy a life insurance so that his or her have enough money to continue the business. So other kinds of insurance, the other types of insurance that you may want to purchase include the flood, crime, and renters insurance. So buying insurance, choose an insurance agent. So insurance is sold by agents. An agent can be independent and represent many different insurance companies or work for a single insurance company. So determine how much coverage you need. So to determine the kinds and amounts of the coverage you need, start by making a list that the property you own. So include the equipment, inventory, vehicles, and other significant assets, and put a value next to each. So then think about the kinds of risks you would like to insure against.
Other risk of credit. As a business begins operation, there will be a cost that will be too expensive for the entrepreneurs to pay all at once. Credits makes possible for the entrepreneurs to make these costly purchases. The business owners will have to make decision about extending credit to the customer. Extending credit can help increase sales. Here is the types of credit. Number one is trade credit. When a business allows another business to buy now and pay later, it's an offering of trade of credit. So when we say trade of credit is a tab you have at the store. When a business buy or goods or services on credit, they receive the product now and pay for them later. It's a common practice for the business world to manage cash flow and maintain the good relationship with the supplier. This arrangement allows the companies to purchase the inventory or materials without having pay for them immediately, helping them to operate smoothly while waiting for the revenue to come in. So for the number two, we have consumer credit. When a retail business allows its customer to buy merchandise now and pay for it later, it's offering consumer credit. So consumer credit, it's like when you use credit card to buy something and pay for it later. It's a way to individuals to borrow money to make purchases, like buying a new phone or a furniture and then repay the borrowed amount over time with interest. This type of credit can help people afford a big item or handle unexpected expenses, but it's important to manage it responsibly to avoid accumulating too much debt. Credit policy. Once an entrepreneur decides to offer, the credit policy must be established to help reduce risk. Policy should help specify to who credit will be extended, what products may be purchased on the credit, and what terms of the credit will be. The terms include the amount of the credit and the rate of interest charged and the length of the time before your payments is required. Risk in the workplace. We have Federal Employees Compensation Act. The Federal Employees Compensation Act is a law that provides benefits to the employee who have suffered work-related injuries or occupational disease. So workers' compensation. Workers' compensation is a law vary from the state, but generally provide for the payment for medical bills. Is the percentage of lost wages of the vocational retaining of employees unstable to resume his or her former job. Workers' compensation will also pay death benefits to compensate the savior of on its job. Injury results in the death of the worker. Rated stress or injury results performing the same activity repeat for all long periods of time. Risk international business. Number one, you may not speak the language of the countries you are targeting. If you cannot communicate with the buyers or consumer, how can you sell your service or product? To misunderstand likely to occur. Number two, may not be familiar with the law or customs or culture of foreign countries. In the United States, looking directly at the people while speaking to them, it's a sign of respect. In other countries, it's also a sign of disrespect. If you fail to recognize these differences, you risk offering those with whom you are trying to do the business. Number 3, you have changed your product or service to meet the needs of new market. Consumer abroad have different needs and wants than do consumers to the United States. What sells in this country is not necessarily appeal to the foreign customers. You will not need to consider this when you sell the products or service in other countries. Number 4 is you travel and shipping. The express may be high. International flight can be very expensive. Sending or receiving packages from overseas costly. Strategy for dealing with global risk. Number 1, government's assistance to answer your question about the international business. Government agencies such as the Small Business Administration and the International Trade Administration can provide counseling, locate buyers overseas, and promote U.S. products and services. Number 2 is the business in many different countries. If you are doing business in the one country and some happens in that country, such as political upheaval, you run the risk of losing all the sales and profit. Number 3 is the local business partners. If you have business partners with that company that located in the country you are targeting, your company will be better to receive locals in that country. Number 4, employ local management. If you hire a manager from the country you are targeting, there will be the better understanding of the culture and political scene of the country. They will be able to assist you to the product modification or changes in the business practice you need to make to work with the foreign market. Number 5, learn about the other country's culture. Research the country, cultural costume and beliefs, and develop cultural sensitivity.